Hi, Dad.
Hey,
How are you
Jardana.
today?
I'm freezing. How are you today?
I know it's gotten really
Oh,
cold.
it's 5 degrees outside, and it's going below zero tonight. But Hallmark took us to a wonderful, beautiful place that most have never visited, but we've heard about. And I'm sure it's below 5 degrees in Antarctica.
It kind of felt like
Yes.
we were in Antarctica today, and I think the rest of this week.
Well, first of all, let me show our audience that this is South America, and we came all the way down into Argentina and the Pampas. That's where Hallmark took us. And then they were supposed to take us to Antarctica, which is down here. But Hallmark didn't film in Antarctica. They went down to the Straits of Magellan in a small village in the southern part of Chile, which mimics much of the weather in Antarctica. And we learned about love and about penguins down near the Straits of Magellan, as far south as you can travel on the South American continent, but close enough to Antarctica that we all felt like we were there.
So are you telling me that I thought I was on this adventure in Hallmark's Polar Opposites, which was part of their winter escape, and here I am watching this whole film, and you are just sharing with me and all our YouTube subscribers at the same time that I never made it to Antarctica?
We didn't get to Antarctica, but we came pretty close, and I thought the story was very interesting, and I liked the cruise that they featured, because a lot of people take an Antarctic cruise that leaves from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and goes down to the Straits of Magellan and then on to Antarctica. And I'll be honest with you, one ice floe looks like all the other ice floes, but the story of love is very typical of Hallmark.
So here's my one question before we get started about this movie, because I'm sure anybody who's watched this movie is dying to know if this was possibly the reason. I'm not sure if you know the answer. Is the reason that Hallmark did not get us to Antarctica because of the permits?
Well,
It seemed like in the movie it was all about how hard it was to get a permit to Antarctica, that you have to have a reason to be there.
the cruise ships go there on a regular basis, so I doubt if you have to have a permit, but what do I know?
Hallmark, if you're watching this, let us know
If
why
they were
we
all
didn't get
permitted.
there. Yes,
Yes.
if that was the reason the film crew couldn't get to Antarctica, so
Yes.
you had to stop in, wasn't it like Patagonia?
They were in Patagonia, which is southern Argentina, and that's where it meets southern Chile. And
The closest I've gotten to Patagonia is my fantastic fleece.
right, the closest I've got to Patagonia is Florida.
Right. Well, we have this fleece, the Patagonia fleece. Is that not from Patagonia?
That's
No,
right.
it's a company.
But what do you think about the Hallmark presentation?
So this was adorable, I thought.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I didn't know what to expect from it. Here we were thinking we're going to find love. But who knew we were going to find penguin love?
Yes, and it's interesting about the penguins that we saw. They were the emperor penguins, which are the largest of all penguins. They get to grow around 4 to 5 feet tall, and they weigh up to 100 pounds.
Wow. Big penguins.
A big bird. You can imagine Kentucky Fried Penguin. But we saw a love story that took us to an outpost, supposedly in Antarctica, and those outposts do exist. And it showed a young couple who met under adverse circumstances.
Yeah.
And their love for each other bloomed. And a very interesting combination of love and Hallmark and education, because we learned about penguins, the emperor penguins. We learned about Antarctica.
Yeah.
We learned about the cruise ships
Yeah.
going to Antarctica, and all those.
And a little bit of engineering. Here's the thing I really
Yes.
loved about this. It was fun. I thought from the beginning,
Yes,
the
it was.
characters were so lively and energetic. We had, again, and if you remember, our main character, Emma, it
Yes.
was Rianne Fish. And we've seen her in a couple Hallmarks.
Yes, we have.
And
She's
we love
very
her.
good. Yes.
So she had been in, if anybody remembers, and I love this one, the Costa Rican wedding with the monkey that used to steal the things from the backpacks and stuff. She was in that one, and she was also in a picture of her, the one with the orchids where the flowers.
Yes.
We loved her in that one. She was in A Splash of Love. She's been in so many phenomenal Hallmarks. Hallmark was lucky to get her in this one. She seems to be traveling. She was in
And the leading man.
Yeah. Oh, and he was fantastic. Markian Tarasuk. He played Andy, and I knew I seen that face before, Dad. He was Lizzie's ex-boyfriend from LA in Virgin River.
That's right.
So he is a Canadian actor, and so of course, anybody who's from Canada seems to end up on Virgin River and Hallmark.
Yes,
So
he was very accomplished also.
Oh, he was so accomplished. He has some awards and different things, and I loved them together.
Oh, they were very cute individually, and together they looked like they fit as a pair.
Yeah, and they were, originally when they first met, and I'll give you a little brief synopsis of the movie. So we find out that Emma's going on with her daily life and all this, what's going on with her friend, and, just, living her daily life. And I think she's in Boston, New York City, Boston. I'm not sure. Boston.
Yes.
And so, she gets a phone call from her father, and it's so cute. The ringer for her father are penguins going quack, quack, right? The little Boston, the little quacking of the penguin. And so she gets a call from her father, and they're talking, and then it starts breaking up, and all she can hear is that I need help, or something about help, and about penguins, and about Luna, and it all got lost.
And what we find out is that he is doing independent research in Antarctica on the emperor penguins.
Yes.
And he is specifying his research on one pair that are together.
Well, he knows all of the penguins. He's been following them for years, but he really has, he's watching this one pair because, so in our research today for this movie, I was a little saddened by this information. I was led to believe that penguins match for life, mate for life. From this movie, right?
Yes.
That they kind of
like Canadian geese.
Yes. There's a gazillion of them. Also, kind of like in Friends. Whoever were a Friends watcher, remember, you're my lobster. Lobsters don't mate for life. No. Lobsters are with other lobsters a lot.
Constantly. Yes.
Constantly.
And how about the emperor penguin?
So the emperor penguin mate for one season.
Yes.
With their mate. So getting to that, we'll find out. But there are some animals that do mate for life, like the bald eagle, the coyote, which is crazy to me. Wolves do. Beavers, gibbons.
Yes.
A little mouse does. A California mouse does. A seahorse. This one scares me a little bit. Termites do.
Termites.
Barn owls. They're cute. And swans. I picture swans being with their mate for life.
But not emperor penguins.
Not emperor penguins. But still doesn't take away the story of Hugo and Luna. And we'll get to Hugo and Luna.
Yes.
So Hugo and Luna are our love story of penguins. And so we find out Emma needs to get to Antarctica. But to get to Antarctica, you need a permit. You need to have the paperwork. All she has a passport. And the only way, which I didn't know, it's you have to get to South America first to get on a cruise ship to get to Antarctica. This is all information. While watching the Hallmark, I asked my travel expert here. I didn't,
But this makes the story of how Emma, our heroine, meets Andy, who is on a research mission to Antarctica.
Waiting outside the cruise ship, right? Yes. She's turned down. She says, she pleads her story. I need to go find my dad. He's in trouble in Antarctica. He's a researcher. I need to go find him. This is the only way I'm going to get there.
Right. And they do allow her to become a stowaway with Andy's Antarctic mission.
Well, they don't allow her. Andy has agreed to hide her.
Yes, by actually having her carry some of his luggage on board that has some of the equipment.
Well, I don't think he agrees to that. If you remember, though, she kind of just takes it on in there, and then he finds her in the ship, and then realizes, and he doesn't want to get in trouble too. So then she goes to the cabin. They become best of friends, and so she agrees to get off. And
you may think this is a ridiculous way of meeting, but a lot of our audience met their spouses in ridiculous situations, and they found that they had much in common.
I can think of one other situation like this.
What is that?
So if you remember the most famous movie in the 90s, what was it? Where Celine Dion was beautiful song, The Heart Will Go On, where we heard of Stowaway Jack got onto the boat, and then unfortunately this boat sank.
Yes.
The Titanic.
Titanic, right.
And they made a reference in this where she met a passenger, found the bracelet, and brought it back. And then they were asking about a stowaway, remember? And she goes,
that's right.
My friend on the Titanic was a stowaway also or something, remember? And so when they were getting off, So I digress.
What's interesting is that it shows a lot of photos of a cluster of emperor penguins. And it shows the one emperor penguin sitting on an egg. And what's interesting is that it's only the males who sit on the eggs. The female emperor penguin scuttles off after the egg is laid, and she goes searching for food for 2 months, while the male sits on top of the egg very gently and hatches the egg. And then when the egg is hatched, somehow the female knows that the egg is hatched, and she has to bring back all the food she has accumulated to feed the little penguin chick.
And these are little fuzzy chicks.
They're little fuzzy chicks because they're covered in down when they're born.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
They're so cute. We saw a bunch of little fuzzy down chicks.
But,
so
yes.
In the story, when she finally gets to Antarctica, finds her father, right? We see that, and we realize what the SOS call was. The SOS call was adorable. We find out that it was not him that was in harm's way. It was his research penguins that were separated by some kind of breakage of the ice.
The ice floe broke apart, and she was on one ice floe, and the rest of the colony was on another ice floe. And what separated the ice floe was a small area where there were
killer whales.
Killer whales.
Waiting to eat little Luna.
Yes. And the killer whales are like Shamu. They're orca whales. And they love penguins. That seems like a feast. Yeah. And she knew that orca was sitting there waiting.
You saw them. They were just waiting for the little penguin to try to swim to her mate. We thought mate for life, Hugo, waiting on the other side, sitting on their little egg.
And so she had to get across.
Well, we didn't know Hugo was sitting on an egg at the time because we didn't see that until the end, and you'll see it. It's so cute when they reunite, and we just ruined it. But it's so worth it.
Yes, and what's interesting is that Hallmark brought this to you in the middle of winter about the love of humans and love of the emperor penguin, and it made you want to do a little research on penguins and emperor penguins and how they create new little penguins, and also it brought Hallmark another wonderful film, another wonderful series about love in Antarctica, southern Argentina, southern Chile. And it was wonderful, and we enjoyed the actor and actress.
And the whole cast. I thought the whole cast
was great.
Phenomenal.
And it took us on that cruise ship
Oh, that was so
Yes, yes.
phenomenal. There was a part on the cruise ship, and you'll see this. This is a must-see. Please stream it if you haven't watched it. It is a must-see.
Yes.
So you're going through on this cruise ship, and you're going through this like strait of all of, I don't know, their ice and ice caps along the side. While you kind of picture you're on the Titanic and hoping not to hit an iceberg, but it is just gorgeous. And then you see the little penguins swimming along.
Yes, they're like the porpoises we have around Florida. These birds spend much of their life at sea, eating and evading capture by the orcas, and they show them when you're looking off the side of the boat. And it's like going on a cruise, and it was a wonderful Hallmark.
Yeah, I loved it.
And we enjoyed it. What's for next week?
So next week we're headed to Belgium. So this is called The Perfect Setting, and it's a jewelry designer is returning to Belgium to visit her grandfather, who is also a jeweler there, I believe.
Yes.
And her hopes and wishes is to win the Valentine's Day diamond contest.
All right.
So we'll have to see what happens there, but I've never been to Belgium. You have.
Well, Belgium is a very interesting place. Remember, that's where the original diamond cutters came from Belgium. And of course, it's also known for its chocolates.
Yum.
And it's a interesting place to visit, and we're going to be able to visit it next week with Hallmark. And we'll be in Brussels.
Yeah, I love these travel stories because we get to go see through Hallmark. I don't think I'll ever make it to Antarctica or Patagonia, wherever we were, but we got to get there through Hallmark. I love Hallmark takes us in the lens and all the viewers to be able to go to these places. So thank you, Hallmark.
And it's winter, and if anybody saw the football game today in Philadelphia, in the midst of a snowstorm, where you couldn't see the ball, you couldn't see the players, all you saw was the snow. That's what winter is like, unless you're in southern Florida, where it was 82 degrees today. So for all of our wonderful viewers, we wish you to have a wonderful week. Remember, tomorrow is the inauguration. Tomorrow is Martin Luther King birthday. So many things to observe and to look forward to watching on television, and we will see you next Sunday.
Yes.
Looking forward to taking us to Belgium for chocolates and diamonds. Goodbye,
Have a great
everybody.
one. Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful week.